Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to talk about the Johnny Depp trial, Amber Heard trial for a while, but I didn't want to say anything while the trial was still going on and it was, still a thing that people were rushing to every day to kind of get their fix. It just felt a little too, people were treating it like a sideshow or something. People were watching it like they do Jerry Springer or something. And it kind of disturbed me a little bit, and it'll make more sense when I explain my reasons. But people were asking me what I thought about it because, especially my longtime subscribers might know that, when we used to do the movie rewatches and stuff on my channel, I'd mentioned that Johnny Depp's my favorite actor. And I don't mean to say or argue that, he's the best, talented ability ever in all the history of actors or anything. I just mean to say that I love everything I've seen him in. I've seen just about all of his movies, I think. And I've always enjoyed him, his roles, his work, his art. And he tends to play the type of roles that I'm interested in. He tends to play the type of movies that are stories that I'd be drawn to. So yeah, I've always liked him. And then I really am a fan of his music. He's a great musician. He's in a band, a lot of people, just casual fans, might not know, but he's in a band with Alice Cooper and Joe Perry from Aerosmith, the Hollywood Vampires, and they're really solid. Alice Cooper's the main lead singer, but Johnny Depp will lead sing a song now and then, but plays guitar and sings backup. And I don't mean just play guitar like, they just gave the actor a guitar so he can strum a few chords and pretend to be in the band. No, he's a legitimate guitarist. I mean, he's swapping solos with Joe freaking Perry, I mean, he's really good. So I've been a fan of him, and even though I'm a big fan of his work, I never really knew much about his personal life. In fact, I didn't even know he was married to Amber Heard until the whole trial and the hubbub started and everything. But it's not like, people, to say you're a fan of something is quite different. Most people mean they're obsessed with this or that. And there are different levels, right? I mean, I'm, somebody like Sammy Hagar, or Alice Cooper for that matter, are kind of more personal heroes of mine. So I do tend to know more about their lives or have read their autobiographies if they have one or something. But big fan of Johnny Depp. And I've noticed something about this trial, which I thought is a unique point that I've never heard anybody make before. And it's something that comes from my own scholarship and the slant and angle that my channel's on. So I understand the cultural significance of the trial, right? I mean, obviously, I wish Johnny Depp the best in it. He seems like a great guy. I don't really think, he did all that kind of nonsense or whatever. But people were following it. People were following it to get a fix. It was like they were addicted to it, the drama of it or something like that. Now, again, let me go back. I do know that there's a cultural significance, right? The fact that he won this trial could signal, possibly, hopefully, an end to this whole Me Too era, and I don't mean Me Too as in, women should never be able to admit it if they've been, harassed or something like that. Of course not, but we all know. Anybody with a brain and a set of eyes knows that whole Me Too fiasco was basically used just to shut up everybody, to believe someone no matter what. There were all kind of problems with it. So this could possibly signal an end to that kind of, rampage, which would be nice. I understand that is culturally significant, and it deserved to be reported on to that extent. But let's just be honest, that's not the extent that people were actually interested in it. That's not quite the extent, or that's not only the extent that people were making video after video about it, that people were flocking to their Twitter for the news updates, flocking to their favorite channels. Oh, what did so-and-so say about it? What did so-and-so say about it? Oh, did you hear this newest thing that was released or whatever that so-and-so said during the trial? People were treating it as though it was a sideshow, a freak show or something like that. And we've got this nature in us as human beings. And you can look at the history of Western culture. Back in the day, it was the royals. What were the royals, the nobility doing? Any kind of thing like that. That was the drama, the celebrities of the day. And then celebrities and Hollywood celebrities developed, those early movie magazines and stuff like that. You can go back and read some of them, and they're not reporting on what movie this or that doing. They're reporting, what this starlet likes to have for breakfast and this and that, and that's still a thing. We still have that going on. And then certainly, as I mentioned, talk shows like daytime talk shows and whatnot kind of picked up on that aspect of people just wanting that sort of drama and whatnot. And I firmly believe that in the late 90s, early 2000s, the rise of the reality show, that was just a natural progression from that. People, a reality show, even though we all know there's no reality to that really. But, that's juicy. That's, let's watch that little bit of drama, that little bit of thing. And And people are just drawn to that. They're drawn to that. Part of it's like the I need to look at the train wreck, got to see it, even though it's horrible. I've got to see it. I think part of it is, let's see how bad some people are, so I can feel better about myself. I think part of it's that. I think, there are a lot of aspects to it. What disturbs me most about it, though, is that people aren't, how do I want to say this? People are not as interested in story anymore. So I talk a lot about on my channel how people aren't as interested in good story, and they don't want to discern and really, judge and weed out and consume stories responsibly, which means, imbibing the good stories and not just opening your mouth or eyes to, sorry, I'm mixing all kind of metaphors there. I mean, being discerning and taking in the good stories, the quality stories that will do the proper work in your psychology and culture, and not just, I just watch everything, not that kind of nonsense. But even worse than that, and I've hinted at this in times before, people are becoming less and less inclined to even spend time with stories, and they don't even know they're doing it. I've talked about my students, who can't even sit and watch a movie anymore. Oh, so long. I don't watch movies. I just watch TV shows. Movies are too long for me to sit down and think about a plot and logically and emotionally invest. Oh, there's time for that. Just show me a sitcom. And then it becomes, sitcom, this is a story. I got to follow this character. Let me just, watch a reality show. Let me just watch, a bunch of bachelors or bachelorettes or whatever, lined up for somebody to pick. Let me just see that. And they still crave drama, which is a good part of story. They still crave little pieces of tension, catharsis, things like that. That those sort of freak show kind of talk shows or whatever, or reality shows, or even a public a juicy trial like this as the way it's presented, and represented and edited and whatnot. They get their little hits there, but they're not consuming the right stories. I see this a lot with, as I said, my students, and I remember when I was a student myself, people can't take literature classes anymore. People have lost the ability to, sit down and read a book, surely, but to honestly understand what a story should do for you. I remember there was a class I took one time in my undergrad, and it was a class on Russian literature, but it was it was double listed as a social sciences and a humanities because of the nature of the class. So there's some social sciences people coming in who weren't quite used to studying the humanities and studying in a lit class. And they were just beside themselves with frustration because of the way us humanities students were dissecting the story and analyzing it. Stop all, you're digging too deep. It's just a story. It's just got a character, a beginning, a middle, and the end. That's all it is. It's just a story. And then my brain exploded, and I'm like, how are there idiots like that who walk the earth? But there are people who just, I don't mean you need to understand the ins and outs of every story, but you need to understand that stories are powerful. As I say in my little channel, Consume Stories Responsibly channel trailer, stories shape us. Psychologists will tell you that. Historians will tell you that. Stories shape us individually, psychologically, the stories we tell ourselves about the instances and the occurrences and our beliefs and in our own past. And then stories shape our culture, the stories we tell about our own culture and our own society and histories and the things that are happening now, the things that develop. This is why media, good real media would be so important. There's, and it's why historically the media has been sort of a champion, like the underdog, like a free press. We need a free press, freedom of the press, so they can really get the real story and not the convoluted, manipulated propaganda from the government or from this or that. Well, now the media is just 100% propaganda. There's no such thing as a real free media or free press anymore. It's all gobbledygook. It's from the story choices they make, the things they want you to look at, so you're not looking over here and all of that. I mean, and it sounds like you're a conspiracy theorist saying that, but no, that's just the truth now. So that is very much the world you live in. It's the body and the brain you've been given is shaped by story. The society you live in is shaped by story. Every day, if you're at all plugged into social media or media in any way, you are shaped by story. Isn't it important then to be more active in that process and to realize, okay, since I am shaped by story, I need to be more careful about the stories I'm really letting in. You hear stories, you hear little things happen, you see things all the time, but I need to be more careful about actively. It's like eating. It's like getting proper nutrition. It's exactly the same way. Obviously, different context there. But just like to be healthy, you need to wake up and make sure that you get proper nutrition that day. You need to make sure you eat some vegetables. You need to make sure you eat some fruits. You need to pay attention to the proper vitamins and nutrition that you need so that you can physically thrive and be healthy. If you don't, if you just wake up and have a Twinkie for breakfast and the same for lunch and dinner or whatever, well, you got that right. You're free to do so, but watch your health decline and watch all the problems you'll have. The same thing's true with consuming stories. If you just wake up to whatever drivel your phone wants to lay out in the current hashtag or whatever, and if you don't train yourself to be able to follow a story, not everybody's into movies, not everybody's into books as much as others, but you should be able to listen to a story. You should be able to let it do its work in you, and if you're not actively doing that and actively pursuing quality stories that tap into the real hero's journey, the real human story and psychology, then your brain, your soul, is missing out on nutrition. You can think of that however you want, spiritually, certainly, but even if you're a total materialist, your psychology, it's missing out on that nutrition. That's just a fact. That's how our bodies and souls and minds are made up. We function by story, and we need to cultivate our ability, our discernment, certainly, but our ability to take in story, think it through, and let it do its work in us, and seek out the right stories that will do the right work in us, or at least be cognizant and conscious of the stories that we're taking in, not just willy-nilly, anything, oh, that's good, we'll watch that one. It's going to cause you problems. It has caused you problems already if you do that. You just don't even realize it yet. But it's going to cause real problems, and not only for you individually, but certainly for our society. And I thought that the way people were flocking to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, just, falling all over themselves to get the latest scoop, and it was their, it was their gossip column. It was their, whatever. It spoke to a real problem. It spoke to people trying to find those little drama hits from places other than good story where it belongs. The story has work that it needs to do in you, psychologically and culturally, and we're not letting it do that. So that's really all I had to say about that. Very, very happy for Johnny Depp. Still a big fan, and should probably talk more about some of that stuff. Maybe it's time to talk about The Lone Ranger again, because I love that movie long before anybody was, hey, I'm a Johnny Depp supporter too. But anyway, we'll talk more about that. If you haven't checked out Hollywood Vampires, do yourself a favor. Go look it up right now. Hollywood Vampires, YouTube or whatever. Listen to some of it. It's really solid. I mean, you got Alice Cooper, Joe Perry. I mean, it's just great. And they got other musicians that work around them. Johnny Depp rocks it with them. So good stuff. So that's all for now. I'll be back with more later. And until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.